When war ends, how easy is it to forgive your enemy? That seems to be one of the main themes of Russell Crowe's The Water Diviner, a big, epic movie set in Australia and Turkey just after the Great War, and concerning the legacy of Gallipoli, which of course is a battle etched into the Australian cultural memory. So have a look at the trailer.
Prince Hussein asked the man why the carpet he wished to sell was so expensive.
Come on, cuddle up! What's the magic word? The one that makes the carpet fly?
Tengu!
That's it, Tengu!
My prince, whoever sits on this carpet, may be transported through the air in an instant.
All right, boys, let's get out of here, all together! Tengu!
It was my job to steer my boys to manhood, and I failed them.
You can find water, but you can't even find your own children.
3 sons killed. That was quite an ordeal for Eliza.
I'll find them, love. I'll find them and I'll bring them home to you.
Your guidebook is out of date.
I didn't come here to sightsee. I'm on my way to Gallipoli.
There's nothing there but ghosts.
Surely you were told this is a restricted zone. No, it's not safe. I'm sorry, but you can't stay.
Maybe we could help him.
You know what the chances of finding his boys are.
He's the only father who came looking.
Who's the Turk?
Hassan the assassin. Wiped out half my battalion.
We found your sons, Edward and Henry. How on God's earth did you know they'd be there?
Arthur.
Look after me, brothers, and keep my bloody head down. If this is your son, he was taken prisoner. He did not die here.
So he's alive?
I don't know.
But you hope.
Hope's a necessity where I come from.
The camps are gone. Go home, Mr. Courtenay.
Nobody will tell me what prison camp they sent Arthur to.
I will ride with you.
I promised their mother I would find them and bring them home.
I measure a man by how much he loves his children, not by what the world has done to them.
If you do find your son, what will you say to him?
So this is Russell Crowe's directorial debut, and it looks to be big and very epic, and it's going to have fantastic photography. The cinematographer is Andrew Lesnie, who was the photographer of the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit movies. So it'll look really cool, and you can tell just from the trailer it's going to have some fantastic widescreen vistas of the Australian outback, and also Gallipoli. You may recall that Russell Crowe was to have starred in Baz Luhrmann's big, epic Australian film called Australia with Nicole Kidman, and then for some reason Russell Crowe dropped out and Hugh Jackman took the part instead. And Russell Crowe actually might have made the right decision there, because I don't really think Australia is a very good film. Big flabbiness of a movie for me. I kind of have the same feeling about parts of this just based upon this trailer. First of all, let's run down, the cliches. So any film which involves a father and 3 children is going to have stock characters, stock conflicts. There's going to be the favorite child, there's going to be the black sheep of the family, and there's going to be the child who everyone ignores. And those are themes going back as far as King Lear. The other cliche, of course, involves, I guess, probably the second half of the film, when Crowe ends up in Turkey after the war, searching for his children, and he runs into Olga, Kurylenko, and of course it is, you simply can't have a film with a middle-aged, handsome hero without him hooking up with a babe who's like half his age. Well, yes, I mean, she's beautiful, and maybe when she acts in Russian, it's a wonder to behold. I've only ever seen her act in English. And I'm not really convinced that Olga Kurylenko could, act her way out of a Vogue magazine cover. The other thing that I think needs to be addressed based upon the trailer is it sounds as if the script is just god-awful, with some god-awful cliche. You can find water, but you can't find your sons, she says. That's the wife. Sorry for the terrible Aussie accent. You can find water, but you can't find your sons. And then later on, when he meets Kurylenko and he mentions he's going to Gallipoli, she says, like, there's nothing there but ghosts. So I think this film is going to be kind of a wash in sentimentality, and it's going to be aimed, I think, fairly squarely at a mainstream middle-brow audience. It will look lovely, I'm sure, and it will have a couple of standout moments, I am sure. I just don't know it's going to be any good. Now, Gallipoli, as you probably know, is kind of etched into Australian cultural memory. And if you've not seen Peter Weir's magnificent film of Gallipoli, then go and see it. And so, I mean, the Anzacs and World War I, the Anzacs and Gallipoli, is a topic. It's been covered, in a few things in Australian films and Australian television. I mean, it's the kind of topic that probably I can recall even being mentioned on things like The Sullivans. I mean, for all I know, it may have actually been a topic of conversation among the girls of prisoner cell block H. And then in terms of the actual emphasis on the story in Turkey, I mean, this is a film about forgiveness. This is about basically a man who has to forgive the people who killed his sons. And there's going to be, some kind of bonding going on between Crowe and the Turkish character. I'll make a bet right now that the Turkish commander, when he's speaking to the Crowe character, at some point he will reveal that he had a son who was killed in the Great War. As for Crowe, well, I don't think it's a stretch to say he badly needs a hit. If you recall from 2014, and perhaps you're trying to forget it, I'm sure you are, I know I am, Noah, that was his big movie from last year. He also appeared in the rather woeful Man of Steel, and I think before that then he was kind of shouty singing his way through Les Miserables. So it's a big epic looking film. I'm quite looking forward to seeing it, but I'm not really expecting to be blown away. I think as I say, it will look lovely, but I think it's going to rely upon some dreadful cliche sentimental moments. I think it's going to really push the sentimentality button. This is a film, that has themes of fatherhood, childhood, widowhood, war, forgiveness. I had a quick look at some of the reviews coming out of Australia, and there were a couple of reviews where people were just a bit mystified by the kind of heavy-handed symbolism of some of it. And the general reviews from the critics were it's quite good, but one critic said, it's not it was not the epic that the Australian film industry needs. I do actually like Russell Crowe as an actor for the most part. For the most part, I like him as an actor. I think he's kind of limited in his range in some respects, but I think in other ways he's actually a far more interesting actor than people give him credit for. And I think he's made some kind of dodgy choices as an actor. And I often get the impression from things I've read about Crowe that perhaps, off screen, he's probably a far more interesting person than the kind of characters he gets to play on screen. A funny acting trick, and I'm sure he's going to use it here in The Water Diviner. He sort of stares into middle distance, and it's kind of his go-to expression for seeming both miserable and thoughtful. So, anyway, that is The Water Diviner. It opens in April of this year, and it's Russell Crowe's directorial debut.